All right, I'm going to talk about INXS. INXS Kick was a huge album in the 80s. You couldn't avoid it, especially like living in Southern California and growing up listening to K-Rock. INXS was definitely a staple on that channel. And never a band I was hardcore into, but never disliked them. They were just always there. Never saw them in concert or anything like that until 1997 when they came to the Warfield. Now, I worked at the Warfield in Fillmore, same company. Sometimes you go to Warfield, sometimes you go to Fillmore. From 94 to 2001. So a lot of my stories that I tell are kind of from that time period. But anyway, I was going to work the INXS show in 1997, and my boss at my day job, a proud gay man, was very eager to tell me that he saw INXS with PIL in 1988, and he was right up close, and he was able to see the outline of Michael Hutchence's junk, and he was very excited to tell me the status, how endowed Michael Hutchence is. So if anybody was wondering, now you know. Now, I was more curious about John Lydon's of PIL because I was really into the Sex Pistols and PIL back in those days, in my early days. And, well, he had no information there because Johnny Lydon was kind of wearing a clown suit, so it was kind of hard to tell. So anyway, the world may never know. So anyway, the night comes to go see INXS, and we always joke at the Warfield that bands would come play there on their way up or on their way down. And INXS did play there in 1985, and this was the first, they're going to be back in 1997, so you do the math there. But I wouldn't say they were on their way down. They were so amazing. I've never seen a frontman like Michael Hutchence. Like, that guy had the most charisma and just natural stage presence I'd ever seen. How he could just capture an audience the way he does, and it was packed. Like, it was definitely not like some of those, bands that come around later in their years, and by the way, they're not late in their years. It's they're only a decade plus in. They could have gone forever, I think, but the place was packed to the rafters, and just the energy of that show was amazing. Now, we all thought it was really cool when Fred Durst crowd surfed on a piece of plywood at Woodstock 99. Michael Hutchence did this thing that I'd never seen before in all my years of going to shows, where he stepped off the stage and walked across, didn't crowd surf, literally walked on the crowd with the help of the crowd, obviously, all the way across the crowd to the back of the room to the bar, and then stood on the bar, had the bartender make him a drink, and then slammed down the drink, and then jumped into the crowd. And this was during I Need You Tonight, and just was walking through the crowd with his wireless mic and walked back up to the stage and hopped on stage. It was just incredible. It was one of those things that I can remember vividly from that show more than anything else. But sadly, that show was in July of '97, and it was November of '97 is when Michael Hutchence passed away. Now, there's conflicting reports whether it's autoerotic asphyxiation. I gotta say, it's shit, man. If you're into that shit, good for you, bro. But God, get a buddy or something. I'm sure you can get on Reddit. I'm sure. Find if you can find a group of people that are into furry enthusiasts that are into sourdough, I assume you can find people that have a buddy system. I don't know. And I guess another thing is, God forbid you ever find one of your buddies in that situation, come across you pull their pants up before you call the paramedics or whatever, and then say you found him that way, and then take that shit to your grave, man. Take that shit to your grave. Do not let your buddy go out like that. I'd like to think maybe that I don't know, Robin Williams and Anthony Bourdain went out that way. I don't like it, but it's possible that they had some good friends around them that said, nope, pull the pants up, then call call the cops. So I don't remember it that way. Anyway, this kind of took a weird turn, but so one thing I remember about Michael Hutchence is that in Richard Blade's book. Now, Richard Blade was he was a DJ of my youth at K-Rock, and now he's on First Wave on Sirius XM, and he's definitely the voice like that I associate with all this kind of music. And the fact that I can still, at 53 years old, still listen to him like I was when I was 13, God, allows me to maybe not grow up 100%, which I like. He has a great book called World in My Eyes, where he tells the story of he was DJing or hosting an after party for the Spandau Ballet tour, and they had packed the whole party with just supermodels. They just hired supermodels, and this party. And so one of the bouncers comes up to Richard Blade and says, "Hey, there's somebody at the door that says they know you. They want to talk to you." And he goes up, and it's Michael Hutchence. He's like, and he was like, he was like trying to disguise. He didn't want anybody to know who he was outside this party. And he's like, "Hey, Richard, you can come into this party?" And like, I'll hook you up with a 12-pack or something like that. And Richard's like, "Yeah, come on in." And then, of course, Michael Hutchence comes into the party, takes off his disguise, and is happy to let everybody know that he's Michael Hutchence in this party full of supermodels. So I always thought that was kind of a funny story. Richard Blade's book, World in My Eyes, has all these great stories like that about those bands in those days. But anyway, Kick, INXS Kick, it might as well be a greatest hits album. This thing is so good from beginning to end. There's no filler on this album. This one goes out to all the animals we ate. We all rotate.